the Senate really loved that.
Okay, y'all, we are live right now.
Now I can't
It's
hear
Thursday,
Chris.
10 o'clock, and
I have to get down, get
there's
back
a lot to
in.
talk about.
Oh,
I'm gonna
no.
mute Susan. Okay, we have a lot to talk about, and I think the biggest thing today, or just now, actually, is Trump's election lies. He was given, he took a live, what do you call it, a primetime spot to spew election disinformation, rehashing 2020 shit. So we're going to talk about that. One thing we are not going to do on this live is we are not going to be showing clips from his speech, video from his speech. We don't need. You can go look for that on your own. We don't need to have that.
I can't endure that again. Like, you can't ask me to watch that twice. That was once was enough. Okay, so I will take it since apparently Chris just vanished. I did watch it. Oh wait, he's back.
I
watched it too.
Reload our.
Did we all watch it? We were just asking who watched the whole thing.
Yeah,
So
I watched it too.
Okay. I knew you would, Chris. I was like, we can always rely on Chris Quinn to be through the whole.
Oh yes, that was a good half hour of my life that I will never get back.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting? He stayed on message. He didn't stray as often, especially early on. You could tell he was actually reading. I could watch his eyes like tracking it.
And he also gets that tone. He gets a certain tone, like monochrome.
Monotone. And I was like, this has to be one of the worst speeches that's ever been written, because as I was going through, I was kind of keeping track for threads. And I was like, oh, I'll just summarize the 5 documents. Because he talked about we're going to declassify 5 different things, right? Lies, obviously, manipulated, distorted, propaganda, whatever. But I was like, let me just summarize it for my followers. And I got through like the first 2 bullet points. And I was like, I have no idea where we are. Like, it was just like all of a sudden he was just saying the same things over and over. And I was like, did he glitch? Like, what's going on? And then he came back with more of
for all. We're the hottest country. Nobody is laughing at us now. Oh,
I mean, that's
we are.
I was like, yeah, we are the hottest country. I'm dying. I don't know about you, but it was like 100 plus degrees here. Like, Michigan's on fire. California's on fire. Like, nothing's going great. Everything's on fire. Like, I don't want to say it couldn't be worse, because I know we're in 2026 and the Trump administration's in control, so it will be worse. But I mean, it's bad. Yeah, it's bad. So the whole first half of the speech was just propaganda, machine gun style propaganda. And I was like, oh God, like, so none of it was surprising. Let me just preface this as a TLDR if you didn't watch. None of it was surprising. It was all what we expected. It's actually all regurgitated talking points that we've heard before, right? Like, none of this is new. It's all MAGA conspiracy stuff that's been talked about since 2020. So you actually, if you didn't watch it, you didn't miss anything, because all the egregious part is really the fact that he got up on live TV, used the office of the presidency to declare elections, invalid, and to call your Congress and try to manipulate people into voting for the SAVE Act, which is really how they eliminate voter participation and disenfranchise people. So that's the egregious part. Nothing that you heard was like, oh my God, this is new information. No, it's just regurgitated talking points. But now, because they're so desperate, because they're losing, because they're deeply unpopular, because the economy sucks, because ICE keeps murdering people, because of everything we go through on this every single week, now, of course, they have to get on live TV and try to convince you to tell your Congress to vote for something that actually will likely disenfranchise you. That was my summary. Thank you.
Thank you for that summary. That was excellent. You know what? Okay, so a lot of this, to Casey's point, was known before tonight. And all of the networks knew they knew he was going to regurgitate election lies. And that's exactly what he did. I'm going to drop this one clip from Rachel Maddow. She nailed it, and that was from her Monday show.
How Republicans like to talk about election security all the time. Trump likes to talk about election security, Republicans, election security. Since being back in office, Trump has worked overtime to systematically dismantle all the things the U.S. government actually does to keep elections secure.
I think that's such an important point, because he's talking about election fraud, or the election was stolen, and yet he's the one that's been systematically, trying to cut through all of our protections, and he's still doing it. He did it tonight.
They have gutted the agency that handles election cybersecurity. They have eliminated the FBI task force that combats foreign influence in our elections. They have ended the program that shared intelligence with state and local officials on potential threats to elections. For somebody who seems to be so concerned about election security, he's been taking down all the defenses we have against potential threats to our elections. And after taking down those defenses, he's taking down as many of them as he can. We've also had Trump kicking into high gear his false assertions about previous elections, his efforts to convince his followers that no election is a real election if the result of that election was that he lost. Last week, a federal judge in Atlanta quashed subpoenas from Trump's Justice Department that were trying to get the personal information of thousands of election workers in Fulton County, Georgia, where Trump claims non-existent fraud cost him that election in 2020. The FBI has surged hundreds of agents into Fulton County in the last few weeks to investigate the 2020 election somehow. But in order to do that, they had to force out the special agent in charge of the Atlanta field office, reportedly because he was not on board with that investigation. And according to new reporting from MS Now, at least 2 FBI analysts who refused to have anything to do with this nonsense also had to be fired last week. The Justice Department has also now sent out a threat that they will jail state and local elections officials all over the country if non-citizens vote in elections in those states, which is something that basically never happens. And now Trump has cleared out all 4 members of the Election Assistance Commission. He fired the 2 Democrats and he allowed the remaining Republican to resign. The Election Assistance Commission is a federal agency that exists to help states safely administer elections. It certifies voting machines. It helps them with election security. Why would you want to get rid of them? All of these things smack of the same kind of sort of desperation and fact-free failure as Republicans, at least by the polls, appear headed toward a shellacking this fall. But it is also up to us to be really clear-eyed about how dangerous each of these actions is.
I mean, that's why this is all happening, because he knows Republicans are going to lose. They're probably going to lose big. And now even that's the House for sure. So we can do impeachment hearings. We can do all these investigations. And now even the Senate is in place. So he's desperate. He's trying everything. And go ahead.
I was just going to
say, we have to do everything we can to make sure everybody is registered. Everybody, if not only are you registered, are you checking your registry? And if we hear of any of our governors trying to cooperate with the voter rolls or voter information, we need to raise holy hell. That's my
yeah. And
we also need to educate people on what happens when shenanigans happen on election day. How do you go through with getting your vote counted when you are met with somebody at the poll, when you are told that you are not registered, when we need to think every single nefarious thing they could possibly do.
I like that.
And educate people on, and this is what you do to stop that.
And we will definitely.
Before you go to vote.
And I just wanted to interrupt Casey one more time.
It's fine.
I think we all have a little bit of a delay. No, I was just going to say, before you go to vote, no matter where you are, be sure you're up to date on the current requirements. Some places have voter ID or photo ID. Some places do not. We don't have the SAVE Act passed. So, you're not having to prove you're a citizen. But some places are even, I heard in Texas during the primary, they were even trying to, at the polls, they were trying to say that. Like, they were trying to ask if you're a citizen. So just be prepared. And also make sure you know your polling place, especially if you're in a red state or red county. They are famous for changing polling places at the last minute with no notification. So be prepared.
Ask
with
Jasmine
all
Crockett
of
how she knows.
Yeah. Especially Texas. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and this happens in Mississippi and Oklahoma, and, it happens. So, those of us in blue states take it for granted. So I think it is our extra job to warn everyone and to support them and to spread the information. As we get closer to the election, we should also put out like your rights,
So I was going to say, that's what I was going to say. I am just deciding unilaterally that this will happen. So all of you have been you're summoned. We will be having a special, I don't know if we'll do it live or if we'll pre-record it, but we will go through, I think we should go through and address like every individual state, like what all of the guidelines are. And then we can have it to live on the internet forever for everybody to go see. So not only will we be able to have people watching it live, maybe we would also have it, saved in advance of the actual date. So I think that that's something we should plan to do. And that way, as we get closer, people will feel more prepared and more knowledgeable about what to do. And you can share it with your friends. And that's the most important thing. And Adam said something early on that I keep repeating because I think that it's very important that if you live in a blue area or a protected area, please do early voting so that you can be
Yes.
free on election day to go to places where it is not safe. We need everybody volunteering to be, pollsters, to be there on election
watchers.
day, to be the guides, right. Not just official poll workers. We need that, but we also need people to show up and actually be physical presences of people there. I know you can only stay, in certain places or whatever, but we can still be there as presences to make people feel welcome and comfortable and knowing that, they're not going to show up with some, Patriot Front member or ICE intimidator there, that we're also there to make sure that everybody gets to vote freely and fairly and not intimidated, right? Because not some of these red states and red areas, as to Chris Webb's point, are not protecting you. They're going to look the other way. They're going to allow that kind of stuff to happen. And so it's going to be us. We have to show up to be the ones to do that and make that happen.
And this is also an important point. We have to bear witness. And if you see shenanigans, so let's just say, because they keep threatening this, they keep threatening ICE at the polls. Let's just say you see ICE at the polls and they are intimidating people. Do not interfere, or with law enforcement, do not interfere, but you have the right to video record from a safe distance. Keep yourself safe, video this shit and put it online on your socials so that it can spread around, because we need the opposite, right? Like, they're spreading lies. We need to spread the truth. Like, this is what is happening. And your video, just like with all these ICE incidents and shootings and murders, video is our best defense or offense in some cases.
And already they're trying to dissuade you.
Clarification of that.
Yeah.
I absolutely thanks for pointing that out, Casey. I did that in 2020. My wife, I'm in New York. My wife and I drove down to South Carolina to help out down there. 2024, went to Erie, PA, good 6 hours away from where I'm at, to go and do it there, but always in connection with an organization, an official organization that is involved with the election. I did it through the Democratic Party. I happen to know people involved in the Democratic Party in South Carolina and in Pennsylvania. That's how I did it. You can also do it through League of Women Voters, League of Conservation Voters, I believe, does it as well. So don't just simply show up and say, here I am, I'm going to take video. No.
That's
folks.
A really good point. That's a really good
what
point.
We can do is we can put out information to as we get closer, also who to contact if you want to volunteer, if you want to assist. But I do think bearing witness is, or, Adam,
Agreed.
If you're in line to vote and you're witnessing something, bring out your phone. You don't need to have permission for that. Just be safe.
Hey, and listen, correct. You can start when you do that, start sending it to your friends and the media. You start sending it to the media, tagging the media, because they want to get down there and cover this too. So the sooner you can get people, tag everybody, but what's happening is media outlets will want to get this because it's sensational, right? And take advantage of that. Like, whenever something like this happens that is sensational, take advantage and get them in, because the more people that have eyes on this, the better that it helps us. As we're seeing them already try to intimidate us. I don't know who saw, unfortunately, Stephen Miller's rant today, where he essentially threatened. Oh, you have it?
I think I think we should play that.
Okay.
Hold on.
Oh, I missed this. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
President
Take
Trump
a
issued
take
a
a deep breath.
directive.
Okay, you're gonna have. I don't think the volume is great on this, so let's have silence.
President Trump issued a directive. In our parlance, it's called a National Security Presidential Memorandum, or NSPM, NSPM 7 to be exact, that directs, for the first time in American history, all of our law enforcement and intelligence agencies to work together to disrupt, identify, defund, debank, arrest, and prosecute these political terrorists that are operating in our country. It's very important to understand that left-wing political terrorism seeks as its ultimate end the overthrow of our system and form of government. And we've seen this has taken place many times in many places throughout the years, and Secretary Rubio has provided you many examples. Left-wing terrorism always ends in bloodshed, misery, and suffering. It only can travel in one direction. There's no point at which the left-wing terrorist is satisfied with his gains and ceases progressing.
All right, so let's just the first thing there. That was right-wingers that tried to overthrow the government on January 6, 2020.
Wait, are we terrorists?
That was not left-wingers. That was not
Yeah.
that was right-wing extremists.
That's what I said. I said being critical of your government is not illegal. That's protected by the Constitution. That's not terrorism. But overthrowing your government, overthrowing a free and fair election, that is terrorism. And that's the difference here. Is they're so desperate that they know they're losing that now they're going to try to come after and intimidate you so that you're not critical of this government. And that is the surest sign of authoritarian fascism that there is.
I want you to pay attention to the backdrop behind him. Notice it is a wallpaper that says the resurgence of political terrorism. Yeah. This is not a one-off speech. This is not him doing this off the cuff. This is a concerted effort. This is a planned activity. They have 10 steps ahead of this already planned out. When they say they are going to do all the things, the debanking, the arresting, the prosecuting, believe them.
You nailed it, Chris. This is their messaging going forward. Today,
and they're going to target they're going to target high profile people. I just want to point that out because they want you, somebody who maybe doesn't have the same connections, to feel that level of fear and intimidation. So expect them to go for some high profile, whether it's like influencers or media people or whatever. They're going to go for people that have a high profile because that's the biggest win for them in terms of fear, because that's all that they have at this point is the fear. And by the way, the fragility of people running a government that can't be criticized needs to be pointed out. Like if you are so afraid of your citizens having an alternative opinion to yours, you've no business being in charge of a government.
And it doesn't matter if they get a conviction. All that matters is that they try to control the narrative and they take people out of play.
Intimidation.
And intimidate other people.
They want you to be afraid to show up. That is the bottom line. That's how they win. So this is a huge fight, you guys.
That's why the SAVE Act is the. That's why the SAVE Act was the culmination of tonight's craziness, right? Like of his propaganda tonight was that. Like,
since you bring that up, I keep making this point in my posts, and I think it's really important that people know if the SAVE Act passes, this is not just voter ID. I think we have to accept the fact that voter ID seems popular overall, but this is about proving you are a citizen. And how many people, even watching tonight, but how many people out there are able, if you had to prove you're a citizen right now, how would you do it? Would it be voter ID? No, because that does not prove citizenship. Would it be your birth certificate? As long as you have a matching photo ID. So if you were married and change your name, that's not going to work either. So a passport, as long as it's if you have a passport ready to go, but not everybody has passports. Not everybody travels. Not everybody has that accessible. So I think people are missing the point. Proving citizenship is for you to prove that you are, it has to be acceptable proof, and it's not going to be a driver's license. It's not going to be your what is it? What's that ID I just said?
Real ID?
Real ID. That does not prove citizenship. And I think so many people think it does.
And think about how this is going to be implemented. It'll be implemented like literacy tests in Jim Crow. It'll be where if you're Billy Bob, you do not need this documentation. You will be allowed to vote. But if you are one of us, you will absolutely need that documentation to be allowed to vote, and you will be turned away.
Think about, this is a good reminder. Think about the first time, and I know this is state to state, but some of you understand what I'm saying, because some people move a lot and some people don't. But when you move to a new place and you have to establish residency and you have to get your driver's license and you have to do all of that, think about when you had to show up in all the documents that you had to bring, like to get a passport or to get your ID.
And the time it took.
Right. And that is under, and I'm saying under the best circumstances, under the when you have a government that's not actively targeting you, right? Like think about what a pain in the ass that was. Like just to do that when everything wasn't terrible. All right. And now you have a government actively targeting you and you have to do all of that just to vote. A lot of people just wouldn't even bother. And that's what they're banking on.
They can drag their feet.
Right. Right. The bureaucracy. Yeah.
Questions. So what you're saying is that my driver's license will no longer.
It's not enough. If the SAVE Act passes, Susan, you will need to prove that you are an American citizen. So you will need to use either your birth certificate and a photo ID that has the same name, or a passport. Those are the two basic ways.
I don't have a passport, so I guess I'll have to get a passport.
Right, and start now, and it costs. They're not free.
They're not free.
It takes work to get them.
And I've pointed this out before, but I'll point it out again. I was born in 1977. There are plenty of people in this country that are older than I am. My birth certificate was not valid for me to get my passport because it didn't have a raised seal. So before I could get,
it must be a certified birth certificate. That's
right.
Correct.
So I had to have my original birth certificate with my social security card and my driver's license to prove who I was, to get my updated birth certificate, to then get that sent to me, to then apply for my passport. So there are so many people that aren't going to be able to even prove that the birth certificate goes with them to then get the updated birth certificate. There are so many problems with this that so many people are going to run into. And of course, that's the point.
And there are people that are in areas or states that don't even have birth certificates.
Yeah,
my aunt, she's 90 and she's a world traveler. She's lived in France, Africa, Canada, here in the United States. So she's had a passport. Her unfortunate situation is her real birth date doesn't match the birth date on her paperwork. And she let her passport expire. She is no longer able to get a new passport. Like, luckily, she won't be traveling because she's in her 90s. Everybody, do not let your passports expire. Like, if you need to renew your passport, renew it before it expires, because then you won't have as much trouble renewing. It's actually an easier process to renew a passport than to get a new one
from scratch.
I can testify to that because ours both expired, and ours were from childhood. And I went to go get one years ago, and it was such a problem back then that I just was like, I'm not going to do it. And then it was even harder. So just don't let that happen. Also, I would like to just take a step back for a second. And this is what I said in my video to my followers, which was this idea that there are hundreds of thousands of millions of undocumented immigrants flooding our voting stations is so ludicrous. The idea that there is this dramatic, widespread Democratic voter fraud, but people still have to pay for fucking insulin. The idea that children don't have food, that people can't afford housing, that we don't have free health care, that all of these radical left, which really everywhere else in the world is centrist, moderate, human rights, basic stuff, that we don't have any of that is evidence that there is not widespread voter fraud. Because if you put us in charge of that and we got to choose, we wouldn't be having this mess of an economy. And we certainly would be able to eat salads this summer and not experience explosive diarrhea.
I miss
right?
salads.
I'm so sick of that. I saw your tweet, Chris, and I was like,
I
just said something 30 minutes before. I was like, God, I want a salad so bad. I'm so upset.
Yeah, I'm gonna be bitter in about a week. I'm gonna be really bitter. I can't, I'm giving it one more week, and then I'm gonna lose my mind.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give in.
So people are gonna have to pay, maybe.
That's why people are comparing it to a poll tax, Susan. You're gonna have to pay to get your proper IDs.
Speaking of pay to play.
Well, I was adopted, so I don't know. I mean, I have to get, oh, Jesus.
That's a really good point. You know, I mean, you're not alone on that.
I mean,
Susan, we should document your journey.
Yes.
We should document it. We should take video and document your whole journey of getting one.
So, okay, so let's talk about this for a second. So, do you have a certified birth certificate?
I have a birth certificate. I don't know if it's certified or not.
Take a look at it. If it has that seal that's kind of bumpy, that's a certified a birth certificate. You can also order a certified birth certificate, and they will put the seal. In order for it to be certified, they put the seal on it. So you have to know where you're, the county you were born, and all the information, and you write in to the records or whatever.
Yeah, I was born in DC.
I remember the first time I got a passport, I ordered 2 of my birth certificates. I was like, just in case.
Yeah, I ordered 5 for everybody. They told us to because especially if you're gonna have to leave the country, if that was gonna be a possibility, they told us to have at least 3 or 4 at least on hand. Yeah. So order a bunch when you do it. Yeah. But again, this is the point back to what I think Chris Quinn was saying that this is expensive. It's not just you're going to pay for your passport. It's that you have to pay for all of these other documents to then go pay to get your passport. So it ends up being a $500, $1,000 process by the time you're done. And I don't know if you've looked around, but that's a lot of money right now. There are people trying to feed families of 4 for meals under $15. They don't have hundreds to thousands of dollars to go get a passport, especially if they're not traveling anywhere.
I want to finish walking Susan through this process though, real quick. So you have to have, your birth certificate, certified birth certificate. Did you change your name when you got married? Do you have your husband's last name? Okay, so then get a marriage certificate matching. Hopefully it matches the name on your photo ID. So you'll have your birth certificate with one name, right? Then you need your marriage license showing that you changed your name. Okay. And then, so if you don't have that, you have to order that too from the city you were married. And then your photo ID needs to match, that name. In order to get a passport, that's what you will need. In addition to taking photos and whatever, and to paying the fee.
I
will send you, Susan. I will send you the link for the passport, and it will tell you the requirements on there. But I'm just telling you, you have to retrace your name. Bottom line, that's really what you have to do.
I don't even know who I am. No, seriously, sorry.
And something as silly as just what anyone that is, middle age or younger, of just taking your photo for the passport is a big deal if you're older. It has to be a certain way with a clean background and everything, and then you submit it, and then it rejects it, and then you've got to try again.
But go to FedEx, go to your usually a Walgreens, a CVS.
Yeah, CVS. Yeah.
Which is good, but then that's also time and money.
And money, yeah.
I mean,
like Casey said, $500 or more after all is said and done.
Yeah.
But
because think about it, you're also going to have to take time out of work to do this, because this is all going to be during, 9 to 5, right? Which is most people's core work hours. So you're going to have to take time and gas money to get places. Not all of this can be done on the phone or online. Some of it you're going to have to show up in person. Chris was saying about getting pictures taken and doing all of that. This is a multi-step process that's complicated, time consuming, and time is money in this economy, especially where people are having to work multiple jobs. So we need to be realistic about this, because even notwithstanding all of that, going back to the fact that this is in violation of the Constitution. So all of this is violating your rights and liberties from a party that claims to be one that preserves your rights and liberties. They sure as fuck take them away on a daily basis. On a daily basis, they are eroding your rights in this country and your freedoms and the states' rights as well, which is, another thing that they promised was the states would have their rights. But in fact, all of this and what they talked about tonight specifically is a huge cut into the state power, right? Like, because that's one of the elections are one thing the state is supposed to control and monitor, and that's essentially what Republicans are saying, is that they shouldn't be allowed to anymore. Huge.
Well,
like,
now
that's significant.
I'm angry. Now I'm angry. So
I want to I want everybody to I'm gonna actually read. I apologize in advance, but I'm gonna read some of these I don't want to call them transcripts, but just little blurbs from, like I said, we are not playing his video, but little blurbs from, so we know the points of how serious he's trying to make this.
Yeah.
So President Trump calls for revocation of the broadcast licenses of ABC and NBC for not broadcasting his speech. In case you didn't know, ABC and NBC made a choice not to broadcast his speech live. I wish every network or news organization had done that. Unfortunately, MS Now broadcasts a good portion of it. CNN chose, as far as from what I could see, and I was flipping channels, jump in, y'all, if I'm wrong, but CNN was not airing it live. CBS, I believe, did. That's not a shocker.
State media.
They did. I watched it on some local channel that streamed the CBS version.
And then it says a desperate and a horse Trump. This is from HQ. A desperate and horse Trump lies to the nation about the 2018 midterms and 2020 elections being rigged in an attempt to take over elections ahead of the 2026 midterms. That's a perfect way to put this. Just very simply, that's what it was.
Pop quiz for everybody. I'm sorry, Chris, go on.
Trump, today I'm asking the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, the DOJ, the FBI, and the CIA to investigate how and why such crucial information was hidden to fire those involved in the cover-up and to file criminal charges if appropriate. Now, we don't have to get into this too much, but John Radcliffe was a Trump appointee. He worked for Trump, and he was in charge of this shit. So if anybody's to blame, this is not true anyway, but he was the one looking into all this shit and came up with nothing.
Yeah. So pop quiz into all of this, folks. He's talking about 2018 and 2020. Mm-hmm. Who was the president in 2018 and 2020?
Donald Trump. And so he also claimed that dead people are active and on the voter rolls. Now, I'm not gonna mislead it. They're not good at taking. You have to submit a death certificate and all that. They stay on the voter rolls. Dead people are not voting. That's a very different thing. That being on the voter rolls and actually voting are two different things. And believe me, if they could prove that dead people were voting in any great numbers, they would have done it already. And that's the big thing about all this shit. They would have proven it by now if it could be done, because they've been talking about this shit and looking into it for years. Let's see what one more, I think.
But yeah, to Adam's point, we should harp on that more, because are you telling me that you were such an inferior president that you couldn't prevent any of this? I mean, it seems like we shouldn't put you in control of anything or your party.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
remember back in 2016 or 2017, like shortly after he took office, he established a presidential commission to investigate fraud and election fraud. And he appointed that dumbass Chris, whatever his name is, from Kentucky or Kansas, who was thankfully long faded from public life. And the clown found absolutely nothing, and the quote unquote blue ribbon commission disbanded in a matter of like 6 months. It was all gone. I mean, what are we talking about here? What are we doing over and over again with this same garbage? 60 cases, all of which he lost, all of which claimed that there was massive election fraud. His own attorney general saying
They
quote
tried.
unquote,
They had so many court cases, they lost them all.
And this is
Literally why he has to put his own attorney in as attorney general, because he
Yes.
can't find any like reasonable lawyers to
but
support
even
his claims.
even more important with regards to this is the director of national intelligence. And this is why it's so important what Jon Ossoff did in the confirmation hearing, is why he asked Clayton who won the 2020 election, and him not responding, and Jon Ossoff pushing against that and really making the point that this shows that you are a sycophant. This shows that you have no adherence to reality. You are going to do Trump's bidding. And Trump specifically said he's tasking the Department of the Defense, National Intelligence, Department of National Intelligence to do this. So you see the through line here.
Yeah.
We have a clip that shows that in there. Go ahead, Susan.
I said I'm a big fan of Jon Ossoff. I think he did a great job.
He killed it.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, so watch this, guys.
Former senior intelligence official described the mood inside the intelligence community as...
Oh, and this also highlights the point that all the news media knew what tonight was going to bring.
Right.
So if you chose to air it live, you were aiding Trump.
White-knuckled. What we know for sure is that Donald Trump is committed to not winning votes, but blocking them. One of the people helping Trump advance that project is current acting director of national intelligence, Bill Pulte, a man with absolutely no prior experience in national security at all, but a high degree of loyalty to Donald Trump.
Who won the 2020 election?
Like I said, I'm not going to get into that with you.
But you do have an obligation to be honest and forthright with the committee.
Is anything that I just said not honest or forthright?
Yes, you're not being honest or forthright. Who won the 2020 election?
I think I've answered the question. We can keep doing this.
Well, we're going to keep doing it because you're not being honest and forthright.
I'm not going to engage in the theater.
It's a simple question, Mr. Clayton.
And I've answered.
Who won the 2020 presidential election?
I've answered it.
You're here asking for the support of senators to lead America's intelligence community. We've established that you have an obligation to be honest and forthright with this committee and with the American public, but you refuse to answer a simple matter of fact about the 2020 election. Isn't it humiliating to be unable to answer this question, to have to indulge the president's delusions? We know, you know, everybody in this room knows the truthful answer to that question. Why can you not give it?
I think I gave you the answer.
The man, the guy.
Masterclass. That was brilliant. Even his the way he held him to task was brilliant, but even his delivery, he was just so calm, cool, collected. I mean, he was great. Yeah. It was great. Casey made that point too earlier. She was like, everybody needs to like learn what he did and do that.
Well,
by the way, Mark Kelly also did a good job further explaining it. I wish I had given you that clip to put in as well. But he basically said, you know, if you can't answer this, how can we possibly think that you would, without Trump even in the room, how can we possibly think that when Trump is in the room standing next to you, that you can stand up to him and tell him the truth? You can't do it without him here. How are you going to do it with him here?
You will never hear any of these Trump lackeys say that Biden won the election or that Trump lost the election. They will never say those words. The most they will say is Biden was certified president, because that's not actually a win. That just means that he was certified, and that's their talking point. I want to play this clip for you guys of Gavin Newsom, and I just want to make a quick point after.
What's Thursday night's primetime speech all about? It's part of the playbook to cast doubt, anxiety, to set up the terms of the debate that will occur in and around next year's elections. We will see masked men in and around those elections. We'll see the intimidation of the voting strategies. We've seen it on vote by mail, suggesting somehow voting by mail, as the senator rightfully suggests, somehow that is corruption in plain sight. He believes in one thing, competitive authoritarianism. He wants the pretense of an election, just like Putin does as well. 87.3%. Putin, 4% for the runner-up. That's the republic that Trump is trying to advance. So that's the playbook we're up against.
I think there's this common misconception that authoritarians don't like elections. They actually do. They just don't want free and fair elections. The election gives them legitimacy. Trump, right. He runs around saying, I won. And if he loses, they cheated. They stole the election from me. The election process gives these authoritarians legitimacy. That's why Putin allows the elections. They're just not real. They're fake. And that's what we're worried about here. And that's what we've been saying all night. And I thought Gavin Newsom's, recap there, his remarks were so on point.
He's not Jon Ossoff, though.
He doesn't have to be. We need everybody. We need everybody to say this shit to people that like them, to people that believe them. It takes a village to get this message across. That's why we're talking about it tonight, too. I'm not Jon Ossoff, so whatever. One more. Well, here's another clip. I like this. This may be a little bit of levity, but the way Nicole Wallace put this week is great.
Tell me this. When Obama ran intelligence, the election was secure and Donald Trump won in 2016. When Biden ran the government and the intelligence, the election was secure and Trump ran in 2024. But when Donald Trump and all of his boobs were running U.S. national security, it got all effed up. Is that the theory?
I guess so. Nicole, we like to say that this administration is built on lies, but it's also built on really bad leftovers, because these claims they are making are bad leftovers that have been sifted through years ago. They are moldy and inedible now. These claims that they're going to try to make later this week, I expect them to cherry pick and selectively leak intelligence about Chinese interference.
Can I stop you, though? What document is going to show something that Donald Trump wouldn't have either stolen when he took, quote, national defense information to Mar-a-Lago in boxes that he then had flooded in the bay? Like, if he had it, are you sure it's going to be something that didn't exist? Like, what documents are we talking about?
Well, what they'll try to do is they'll try to mischaracterize shreds of information that I think it will be easy to swat down. And I've got to agree with you, Nicole. I mean, I helped stand up Donald Trump's election protection efforts in the first administration with his director of national intelligence, with his handpicked director of the FBI, with my former colleague, Chris Krebs. And when it came to election time, those people who had access to all of that intelligence information, I was gone by that point, but people like Chris came out and said, we've seen it all, and this election was secure. Donald Trump didn't like that because he had cooked up this lie that it was stolen. And so he fired Chris. And of course, one of the first things he did when he came back into office was ordered a Justice Department probe into Chris.
I mean, no one has ever been able to prove any election rigging, as far as like physical rigging or fraud in any numbers that would swing an election. Our Constitution set it up so that the states are in charge of elections for very good reason, and states do a pretty damn good job. And most Secretary of States take their job very seriously, no matter what party they're with. They do, and that's what I find. Like, even in red states, the Secretary of State usually, with some exceptions, do a pretty good job.
I did hear the part about the Obama Burton bag.
Yeah.
This is where we need all past presidents who are now living to come forward and say, this is a joke. This man is a fraud. He is a
That is a really good point.
And that means not only Obama has done that. We need George Bush Jr. to come forward. We need them, Clinton, to come forward, all of them to come forward. And
I would say especially George Bush. He's been very absent. Very absent this whole time.
Yeah. The hell with this painting.
I think a lot of I think it would do a lot of good if he spoke on this. I do.
I do
Even
too.
though, he was by far my least favorite. He was not my favorite president.
People listen to him.
I don't put it past him to, you're talking about a man who is 80, who has no grasp of reality, who clearly has people around him that are completely sycophantic. I wouldn't put it past him to attempt to bring charges against Obama.
Oh my God.
He just mentioned it last week or during this past week.
And
yeah.
I think we really need to, we even in this room aren't thinking crazy enough. Because
Chris, that's such a good point. I mean, you have Todd Blanche, who's most likely going to be confirmed as our next attorney general, and that leads us to our next segment, which is his confirmation hearings and all that went with it. But he's 100% towing Trump's line. I mean, 100%. He even admits it. I think we have a clip here. Let's see if this is it.
The both parties.
Not that here.
Are you and President Trump friends?
I'm his lawyer, was his lawyer, and now I'm the Deputy Attorney General. So I met him as his criminal defense attorney. I'm not sure there's very many people who have ever had a criminal defense attorney who calls that person their friend. I now have a...
Well, let me put it this way. Are you enemies?
No, we're not enemies at all. No.
Of course they're not. And let me play this one more clip and then let's talk about it. But this is kind of a recap of what was going on as of yesterday, I would say.
Both parties grilling President Trump's pick for Attorney General, his former defense attorney, Todd Blanche. The matter of Blanche's independence from Trump, front and center.
Are you and President Trump friends?
I'm his lawyer, was his lawyer, and now I'm the Deputy Attorney General.
Republican Senator John Cornyn asking Blanche about the DOJ's extraordinary settlement with President Trump, a $1.8 billion weaponization fund paid for by taxpayers to pay out Trump supporters, including those who stormed the Capitol on January 6th. After an avalanche of bipartisan criticism, Blanche announced the fund was dead.
I believe you have said that the weaponization fund is a moot issue. Is that your position?
Yes, it is a moot issue, meaning there is no weaponization fund. The weaponization fund is dead. It's not moving forward.
But Cornyn noting neither Blanche nor Trump will put that in writing, telling me he's not sold on Blanche.
I'm just going to stop it there because I think that's one of the more important points that came out of the confirmation hearing was that slush fund that's using our tax dollars and it will pay January 6 folks and, Trump's loyal, base or whatever. That was not disbanded. It was just not enacted. So it is still there and ready to go. There's actually another clip that says a little more than that, but I think that's such an important point.
You're still undecided at this point.
Correct. It's been my concern all along. He's as a president, private lawyer.
Over in the Senate Intelligence Committee, similar concerns about the president's new pick for Director of National Intelligence, Jay Clayton, who still refuses to say Joe Biden won the 2020 election.
Joe Biden was certified as
we all know
president.
Joe Biden
He went through his process.
I'm just
worked
asking
hard
a
for
really
the transition.
simple question. Who won the 2020 election?
As I said to you, we went through our processes, and Joe Biden became the president of the United States.
And answer the question, who won the 2020 election?
I have answered the question.
Answer it. What is your answer?
I've given you my answer.
All right, we can stop it there because we've already kind of showed that. But and the other important stuff that came out of here is the Epstein survivors, the fact that he was put on the spot and grilled about that. I mean, that was super important. But in fact, let's.
He also, Blanche, when asked about whether it was appropriate or permissible for ICE to enter people's homes without a warrant and arrest them, especially if it was the wrong person. And Todd Blanche unbelievably said, it depends on the circumstances. I issued an all caps tweet, which I'm going to repeat here. No, it effing does not. The Fourth friggin' Amendment says that you cannot enter and unreasonably search and seize somebody without a warrant. That is absolutely unconstitutional. This man does not belong anywhere near the Attorney General's office.
And this is what we're dealing with, folks. This is what we're dealing
Unbelievable.
with. I also want to remind people that Blanche is the one that basically got Ghislaine Maxwell moved to a much better situation. Watch this clip.
Maxwell, in her own words, describing life in her new prison home. I feel like I have dropped through Alice in Wonderland's looking glass, she writes, a federal prison Camp Bryan, according to emails she sent to friends and family.
You know, we should just point out that this is a predator, and she deserves to be in a maximum security prison with no niceties. That I don't think that's just my opinion.
Reviewed by NBC News. I am much, much happier here, she writes. Maxwell is serving a 20-year sentence for recruiting minors to be sexually abused by Jeffrey Epstein. The emails obtained by the House Judiciary Committee investigating allegations of special treatment, written by Maxwell after an abrupt and unusual transfer from a low-security facility in Florida to this all-women's camp in Texas, typically reserved for white-collar criminals. The move came amid backlash over the DOJ and FBI announcement in July that a review found no incriminating client list. Soon after, Maxwell met with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche.
Did you know of the existence of any such list?
There is no list. Days later, she was transferred and writing emails gushing over her improvement.
To be clear, that was a fishing expedition to make sure that she wasn't going to spill the goods on Donald Trump.
Conditions. The food is legions better. The place is clean. The staff responsive and polite, she wrote. Saying in another, you are not allowed to steal, beat people up, and attack them with homemade weapons. The Justice Department, which oversees federal prisons, declined to comment. Family of abuse survivor Virginia Roberts Giuffre, who later died by suicide, saying, we strongly reject the notion that a convicted child sex trafficker should reside in a residential neighborhood, shielded by fences instead of bars.
And let's also point out that she gets puppy time at this place. They bring in puppies for them to cuddle with and play with. So this is Todd Blanche's doing.
An embarrassment.
Yeah. This is just the fact that also the Republicans ran on being transparent with the Epstein files and prosecuting the pedophiles, and everything that they have done is the opposite of that. It is enable and embolden child predators and sex traffickers. And the fact that we are doing that and paying people with our taxpayer money to do that is just, I don't even have words for how upsetting that is.
He took the time out of his schedule to go travel to a prison. I think it was in Florida at the time, maybe.
Yes.
To speak with Ghislaine Maxwell. He has not taken a moment to meet with the true victims, the Epstein survivors.
Yeah, and that was
shameful.
Brought out during the hearing, which I thought was a really important moment. Today, one of the survivors spoke out. She testified. Let's listen to that because I think this is moving. I really do.
Like grown adults when you see us now, but we were children. Young girls at the time of our abuse. These are the photos of when our innocence, dreams, and lives were stolen. Please take these faces in as you think of us as your own family, daughters, nieces, sisters. Now look at our faces and remember the women and families of who the DOJ re-victimized. Todd Blanche has been at the helm of the release of nude images of survivors, the outing of Jane Doe's, and the exposure of more than 100 victims identifying information and documents describing horrific acts of abuse, including my own. These documents contain disturbing yet incomplete accounts of my abuse. They were available not only for the entire world to see, but my child, my students, my friends, my employers, my colleagues, and my family. It was humiliating. Worse, My FBI 302 exposed a Jane Doe who had fought for decades to conceal her identity. The survivors in this room know there are investigative leads because they are our stories. Mr. Blanche knows it too, yet he has chosen not to pursue them. Mr. Blanche's actions have destroyed survivors' trust.
I think that's important, well, for obvious reasons, but also, I don't know if you remember yesterday, Blanche was being grilled on, you haven't met with them, and he was trying to like gaslight and, basically they haven't done it properly. Of course, we're willing to meet with them, but they have to bring their attorneys, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if anybody wants to add anything to that, but that's my synopsis of that.
This is the side we're seeing, but what the right-wing people are seeing is the J.D. Vance clip saying, well, you have to understand that some of these people could have been co-conspirators. And so they tried, the people redacting tried their best to balance who was a victim with a co-conspirator, and some mistakes were made. And then you also had Katie Britt questioning, and basically in her fundy wife voice, doing the I really care about you. I care about everything that's happened to you. But isn't it true that Merrick Garland should have done this? And shifting the blame to all of this is Merrick Garland's fault.
Always shifting the blame.
And so that's the narrative that Republicans are hearing and going with and are going to believe.
I don't care if you blame Merrick Garland, but I'm also going to blame the people that are in charge now that could be doing something about this, that could be doing something about this right now, and continue to just prop up the pedophiles and look the other way on the sex traffickers. Like, I don't care who you blame. It's like when they point to Bill Clinton. I don't care. Put him on jail.
There's
That's
a
not
lot of
problem for me.
blame with administrations to go around. Like, I don't think we let any administration off the hook here,
Right.
but I do think we are watching an active cover up in real time.
Right. If you blame shift on the subject of child sex abuse, you are a part of the problem. You are just as bad as those sex abusers of children. I'm going to stand on this and say that. Like, I don't care who you are and what party you are, but if you have a position where you could do something and you're blaming somebody else instead, you're complicit. You're absolutely a part of it, and you are a part of the cover up, and history will remember you that way. And I will make damn sure of it, because I'm telling you, I'm raising kids that know already about this, because I said something about men being the worst, and my child interrupted me and said, Mommy, Donald Trump is the worst. But that was my 6-year-old this morning. So just so you know.
All right.
Good to know where I stand, though.
Okay, watch this, because this just aired this evening on the weeknight, and this is a follow-up with one of the survivors. So basically, Blanche said he would meet with them, but he really didn't mean it, right? And she talks about it.
It had absolutely nothing to do with us, and it had everything to do with Blanche checking a box so that he can get a promotion. I don't think that we had high expectations going into this meeting. I certainly did not, but I didn't expect to walk out of the meeting feeling the way that we feel right now. It was demoralizing, to say the very least. And I think that Todd Blanche had an opportunity today to throw us some kind of bone, to agree to something, to just, if he offered almost anything, I think that we would have been happy that he just offered us something, but he completely talked around questions. He didn't give transparent answers. He didn't give us any promises as far as following up on investigative leads. He had no real answers for the Ghislaine Maxwell transfer, and no real explanation for the improper redactions. What he did say was that he would be open to meeting us again. However, he would be open after we go to the FBI. I've been going to the FBI for 30 years.
Right.
For 30 years, we've been going to the FBI. And why should we have any confidence in the FBI or the DOJ right now? Again, it felt like more political posturing and using survivors the way that we've been used as political pawns.
Yeah, so that kind of wraps it up with that. I mean, that was all for show. It was just talk. What'd y'all think of that?
You're muted, Casey.
Thank you. Imagine using victims, survivors of sex abuse for performative purposes. That is gross. That is just, I mean, the vilest of people talk about partisan politics all the time, but I'm gonna tell you right now, like as a student of politics, right, that spent years and lots of money earning degrees on it, there was some dirty politics in the past for sure. 100%. But you know what? They did not have the audacity to do it right in front of your face, to play right out in front of your face in real time for everybody to watch. And we have just gotten to a point where this administration is not only comfortable doing this, but they're comfortable doing it in front of your faces because they feel like there will be no accountability because they have no intent to make people account for their bad crimes and behaviors because it is benefiting them. And that's what you need to remember is that through all of this, there is a reason that they are not prosecuting these people. And there is a reason that they choose to do the things they choose because it benefits them. It benefits them and their benefactors. Their bestie billionaires are making lots of money and staying out of jail. And why would you trust a party that's consistently doing that? You know, right?
Yeah.
Listening to her makes it all the worse of what Tom Tillis said of that
Yeah.
he's still considering voting for Todd Blanche on the promise that he will speak with survivors when clearly that's not going to happen. And if he and John Cornyn don't have the backbone to vote against him with no skin in the game at this point, then that just shows the absolute depth of depravity within the Republican Party.
I just want to appreciate some activism that led into this hearing. I'm going to share this clip with you guys.
Billboards have gone up in key states targeting senators seen as more likely to vote against Blanche. That includes Tom Tillis of North Carolina, John Cornyn of Texas, and John Kennedy of Louisiana. We know there are Republican senators who are not a firm yes here on Blanche. Do we know what type of promises, commitments, concessions they are looking to get from him?
Yeah, Alicia, I think it could cover a lot of ground, including Epstein. Todd Blanche was, of course, the one who had met with Ghislaine Maxwell before that prison transfer. Also worth noting that when former Attorney General Pam Bondi had spoken to the House Oversight Committee behind closed doors, she testified that it was Todd Blanche who was in charge of the rollout of the Epstein files. And as was noted, there were issues with that. It is not lost on Republicans that he was formerly the president's personal attorney. And there are a number of Republicans who want to ensure that he is now going to be an independent attorney general and not be acting as the president's attorney.
Have the survivors you've spoken with received any commitments from these Republican senators that they plan to really press Blanche on his handling of the Epstein files or on the role he played in getting Ghislaine Maxwell transferred?
I haven't heard of any serious commitments, but I have heard that they're listening. And I think that's a very important piece here. The other piece I wanted to mention, because no one really talks about it, is there's a whole nother class of Epstein survivors that no one ever considers. And those are the survivors, the victims of child pornography. The government, Todd Blanche and others, have failed those people also who have not even been identified. We know there are hundreds of thousands of videos, but we don't know who they are. So how can they have a voice if they're not even identified?
And what is so ironic here is like when she talks about, pedophilia and child porn, the Republican Party, the MAGA faction, Trumpers, they ran on that. Like Trump ran on the fact of like bringing the whole QAnon thing. If you look into that nightmare, it's all about like Democrats are pedophiles. This is not Democrats. This is not like these people. I don't know. I think that there's so much here that we just barely know, and these people do not have justice. These women now, they're women, they do not have justice from what happened to them.
And why is being the president's personal attorney not a disqualifier?
It 100% should be. They are, but look at so many of his nominees and people in his cabinet are just like they're not. First of all, I mean, at least Blanche, he shouldn't be. He should be disqualified because of your point. But so many of his people have no qualifications. Like what's that guy? The guy one for DNI. He is not qualified. He has no security, national security background.
This doesn't surprise me because Donald Trump didn't either. So he's like, well, I can be president. Surely, my landscaper can be the Department of Agriculture head. Why not? Right? Actually, that's not fair. That's probably too realistic and reasonable.
DNI is a little bit different, though. And I would bet that of the four of us, that Chris Quinn probably knows this best. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I guess I am, Chris. There is a specific statute that outlines what DNI qualifications are, and it includes specific parts of jobs being held in security. Do you know about that, Chris? Because I figured out of the four of us, you would.
I do, and the who is not eligible under that is who is the acting right now.
Absolutely.
Jay Clayton is eligible under that based on his experience. But as you saw from his testimony, obviously that alone should be disqualifying in and of itself.
Yeah. Well, the acting is doing a lot of damage right now, and that's why they're saying the confirmation, he probably will get confirmed because they want to get that other guy out of there. So I think we're like damned either way.
But let me kind of ask this of the Todd Blanche hearings and Cornyn and some of the others being on the fence. Tillis, haven't we seen enough nominees go through Senate hearings and blatantly lie to the committee over and over again? Why do they even need to hear more from Blanche? Is he suddenly going to reverse decades of lies? Oh, to say now I'm going to be upright and forthcoming and honest as the Attorney General. Now it's like Pete Hegseth saying, well, now I'm going to stop drinking and now I'm going to treat everybody fairly. Sure, that's worked out perfectly, hasn't it? I mean, what are we doing here? The guy's got a record. The record is awful. We shouldn't have even gotten this far, but the nomination occurred. So I guess they had to, although they didn't with Merrick Garland, another story. But they don't need to hear anything more from Blanche. It's all there in black and white. Turn him down. Do Tom Tillis, John Cornyn, I am begging you for America. Do the right thing. For once in your political lives, you have nothing to lose at this point. You're both on your way out. You both either left because you can't stand Trump or because you were forced out. Do the right thing and vote against this guy.
That's the YOLO caucus. You only live once caucus. I would add to that, unfortunately, Susan Collins, because her vote became much more important now that Lindsey Graham is dead. So we're, I just think he's going to get confirmed. I just do. I think the thing is with these confirmations, just like with endorsements, you are signing your name to that person. You need to live with that vote, and we shouldn't let them forget it. Just like with RFK Jr. and others, this is, and I hope to God. Do you think any Democrats will vote to confirm him?
I mean, if you think
Fetterman's one name,
a Democrat,
the one guy.
If you think Fetterman's a Democrat,
well, yeah, okay, yeah.
I don't know if you were going to bring this up, but this past week that he started a joint fundraising committee with Republican Pennsylvania Senator Dave McCormick, which again just shows first of all, being from Pennsylvania, not one Democrat in Pennsylvania is going to give him a dime. So that's the only way that he's going to get any money. But also shows that he is a Democrat in name only at this point.
100%. Yeah. Well, let's move on to our next topic. Well, this is kind of sort of all things Trump, but maybe a little bit of levity in here. But let's just start with a recap of where we were with the war a couple of days ago, at least.
Us around, we're pushing them around.
President Trump now reinstating the U.S. blockade on Iranian ports as both sides battle for control of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran announcing it's closed, but Trump today declaring the U.S. will soon become, quote, the guardian of the Hormuz Strait and charge a 20% fee on all cargo that goes through it.
We're going to guard it. We're going to get paid for guarding it. A lot of money.
Before Trump launched this war.
So I think that part's important because he then backed out of it. And J.D. Vance is on record of he previously said, oh, no one can, not J.D. Vance, it was Marco Rubio, who said no one can charge a fee for an international waterway. And that's the main thing there that I wanted you guys to see. But I think that this war, we've been talking about this almost every week. Why are we at war? A, B, we are losing. Iran is in an arguably better position because they have access to funds that they did not have before. And they're really controlling this waterway because every time they're saying, oh, it's open or there's a ceasefire, Iran's firing. They're wanting to charge fees and they're closing the strait. So I don't know. And Trump keeps going this and that and the other. And, he's getting rich off of the stock market from this shit. I want him. This should be the first article of impeachment, the war, in my opinion.
I don't want to get us taken down, but there was a certain display that showed Trump in a non-breathing fashion.
Yeah, that Iran did. I posted that yesterday. I do not
in repose
have that clip here. But we could say he was in a coffin, and they had a huge ass. I don't know how big it was, but it was like the side of a building. It was certainly as big as every billboard you would see in Times Square, and it was Trump in a coffin. Iran's not fucking around. After Lindsey Graham's death, they came out with a Lego video, kind of recapping their version of how he died within a couple hours. I mean, they're ahead. They're pretty on point here.
And the only way this ends is with Trump admitting that he lost, which clearly will not happen. And my greatest concern is that he gets to a point where he just says screw it and we end up in a Vietnam and a million times worse. This is an actual, really capable military we'd be going up against. But like Vietnam, in a method and terrain that we are not best suited for at the moment. I'll say that.
Well, I've been double checking that apparently pretty much during or right around Trump's speech tonight, it seems that the U.S. was striking Iran and possibly committing war crimes
during the speech,
or right around the same time, attacking. I was watching it on Fox because I knew it would be broadcast there, and what Britt Baer had said had mentioned the expanding war immediately after Trump spoke. Apparently, they've struck bridges, railways, and roadways.
That's a war crime.
Yeah.
That's a war crime. All right. So I thought we could also check in on the reflecting pool just change the subject here and then we'll go back to more serious. So a lot of people were talking about, that 350-foot gash. A lot of people talked about that he drove his motorcade onto the reflecting pool. They saw tire tracks here. I do want to point out that, so the blue is gone, right? I don't know what's under this, but a lot of this is soot from his firework display that settled into the reflecting pool when they drained it. So I don't know. I personally don't see tire tracks there. A lot of people pointed out. I thought this clip is the best kind of case for it. If you just watch it, this person lines that up. And you can kind of see, okay, those are maybe tire tracks.
Looks like.
So this is.
But even regardless of tire tracks, what's not there? Where's the damn blue tarp?
No dash. I don't see a dash.
A lifetime. So where's the blue tarp or the blue
like
layer that they put down?
This was never going. This was a coating. And
right, but it's like been
I've
2
done a lot of research
whatever,
on
right? A
pools
month
and things like that. And pool coatings, like epoxy coatings, color, they last for years. They should last for years. This was faulty.
Is my point.
They didn't
this is what I'm
prep
saying.
But this is also was not a pool. This is a pool contractor that they hired that didn't know how to do.
This is my point, though, with the no bid contracts. Like, there's absolutely no oversight about who's getting these jobs. And that is on purpose because they're just wasting taxpayer dollars, hoping that you don't notice that they're also putting money in all these other places. The absolute disregard for this nation, our monuments. Like, it's just.
To add insult to injury, they're using the same contractor to do the repairs, and we're going to pay them. Now, in any normal situation, if you hire a contractor and they do a botched job, where meanwhile, Trump has also helped them by saying, oh, there were vandals. So meanwhile, it's not really their fault, but we all know it is. They did a shoddy job. They have no business doing this kind of a reflecting pool because there's slate under here. You can't just put a regular coating on top of slate, and we're going to have to pay more money for them to come in and redo it. So
let me put this into perspective for people who haven't had to do any projects. Maybe you've been lucky enough to never have to do projects. When we moved into a home that we were renting, and I was like newly pregnant, and we could tell that there was maybe some mold damage. We hired a company to come in and do an inspection, right? And of course, they found like some black mold, which, like, thankfully, even in Virginia, a landlord has to fix. But do you know what you don't do? You don't use the company that made the inspection report to come in and complete the work. And then you also don't use them to come in and inspect the final job. You hire different people to make sure, or you get second opinions or whatever. You absolutely do not continue to use the same people, even when they haven't screwed up. So when they have screwed up, even more reason not to rehire them. This is just stupid. Like, at this point, I've said on the record, and I will continue to say this, that it's intentionally stupid on purpose, because I don't believe that you're this reckless accidentally. I believe Donald, I think he is, but I don't think everybody in his administration, all these smarties that, know what they're doing and are in it for world domination, this is on purpose. Like, they're ripping out the cherry trees for the golf course, even, which, by the way, do you know how much water and resources that takes to keep up in this environment?
Yeah, that's
why are we doing that?
Criminal. And just remember, everyone, this is the man that made these decisions for all of these renovations, or if you want to call them that. And I thought this was perfect. Our friend Truth Will Reign did this, and this is what we're seeing now. And it looks like a Las Vegas restaurant.
God,
this is the Rose Garden.
What have I
He's
said?
putting
It's a food
gold
court
signs
at a
everywhere.
bad outlet mall.
It's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. All right. You know what? I'm a little behind here. I'm realizing I haven't put our next topic in. We are going to talk about
oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I can talk about the bad food court at an outlet mall.
Go ahead.
I can talk more about the Rose Garden. I can talk about the Ellipse. I can talk about all the things that you like. Look at the overhead document. Like, if you looked at like an overhead shot, DC right now, it is wrecked. Like, absolutely every time I drive by the city, and I see the tidal basin area that normally, there might be some construction here and there, but for the most part, it's beautiful. It's beautiful this time of year. It's beautiful all times of year, honestly. And it is so ugly. There's just all there is just cranes and construction, and it doesn't look better. It looks shoddy. So, and every day I'm reminded of how much money we're spending to look bad. Like, it's like we're investing all this money to look worse. And I really wanted to hit something.
Okay, so I'm ready. So we're
good. Something else.
We're
That's
moving
gonna
on
make
to
me
something
mad.
even like really
Great.
serious and awful.
Amazing.
So Juan Sebastian Guerrero was, I'm gonna say murdered, but I guess killed by ICE in Maine, right? And we're gonna share a little recap here. If I can find her. Here we go.
A car right around that same time slowly.
Oh, I want to mention this. This is Rachel Maddow again. I love her. Y'all know that. She does a really good job at explaining this without it being too graphic as far as the visuals go. And she makes a really good point that I think some people missed about this investigation.
Rolling, seemingly unhelmed, slowly rolling in a circle at an intersection where this happened in a town called Biddeford, Maine. The Bangor Daily News then published video, which I'm telling you, you may not want to see this. So this is not the kind of thing that you want to see, you can look away now. The newspaper published this video on their website of what appears to be ICE agents pulling what appears to be the lifeless body of a young man out of that white Kia sedan that you just saw in that other footage going around in a circle in that intersection. I should mention that as they pull this young man out of the vehicle, it appears that they kind of bounce his head on the ground a couple of times, and then they appear to handcuff what again appears to be his lifeless body. But the man in that footage is a 26-year-old man. He's identified by neighbors as Juan Sebastian Guerrero. He's described by people who know him in Maine as somebody who was 26 years old, fully legally employed, legally working in the United States. He had legal permission to be here and to work here. But this morning at 7:17 a.m., he was shot and killed by Trump's federal agents on the street. Maine's independent U.S. Senator Angus King told reporters today that there was not a warrant for Mr. Guerrero's arrest, that he was not the target of ICE operations in Biddeford, Maine, but still, ICE agents, for some reason, killed him. Maine state authorities say the officer who killed him this morning is with ERO, the Enforcement and Removal Operations Division of ICE, and reportedly that agent has been put on leave pending an investigation into the shooting. You know what happens typically when there's a full and independent investigation into something? I mean, I'm no expert, but seems to me like if you really got a full and independent investigation into a fatal shooting, one of the things you get is a crime scene, right? A cordoned off crime scene. See what's in the gutter there? That's this man's blood all over the street. Local residents today in Biddeford remarking on the fact that this young man's blood is all over the street and flowing through their gutters, writing right next to it on the street in chalk, in big letters, "This is blood." And you don't see this at a typical crime scene, because typically when there's a full and independent investigation of a crime, the scene where the crime happened is treated like a crime scene and protected. And still the same day as the killing, the Bangor Daily News published this photo of a street sweeper coming by, cleaning up around all that blood. A full and complete investigation.
I mean, the aftermath of that, it's a cover up. And just like we saw with Renee Good and
Alex Brady.
Yeah,
Alex Brady.
There's been no justice in their cases. And this is what they do. They rush in to protect ICE, the ICE agents that killed him.
This is how much worse it's gotten. And I am going to fearmonger because it's the truth. In normal times, if something like this happened, there would be a lot of there would be a lot of delay, whatever. In this case, within like a couple hours, I mean, by 5 o'clock that afternoon, easily, we had been told that this was a case of mistaken identity, that this administration did not intend to stop him. He was not the subject of their investigation. And that was unapologetic and released to everybody immediately. It wasn't like weeks later or months later. It wasn't hushed. It was like, oh, Mark Wayne Mullen told Senator King that this is what happened, like blatantly, without any shame, right? Like without any need to hide it from anybody. Like, oh, this guy has documented work permits. He's allowed to be here, and we accidentally stopped him and our guys killed him. Okay, moving on. Like that's the level of like there's just absolutely no care or concern or regard for this person's life, their family, that supposedly their 3-year-old in their pajamas saw their father executed. And I like and appreciate how Rachel Maddow continued to stay killed. And I think that that's important to say, because that is what happened, right? This was a murder. This man should not have been shot. This man should not have been stopped. This could happen to anyone. This could happen to you or your family. And that is what people need to understand about ICE operating lawlessly this way, is because if their first instinct is to just shoot people, then no one in this country is safe, citizen or not.
I'll issue one little qualifier on that. It's a lot more likely to happen to people that are black and brown.
Of course, 100%.
As ever.
And as many people have pointed out, any law enforcement, when they are executing any kind of warrant or anything like that, you're not supposed to shoot guilty people. You're not supposed to shoot murderers. Right. You're not supposed to kill anybody ever. So it's an unfortunate way that again Republicans have been able to frame this as, oh well, it's sad because he was legal. That, well, no, even if he was illegal, it would be wrong. Even if it were a heinous crime, it would be wrong. There is no scenario where any law enforcement officer is supposed to kill someone on the street.
This is very familiar in the Black community, historically with police, and ICE does this too. We are in fear of our life. This is why we shot this person. So even though they weren't armed, we thought they were armed. This is the defense they put up. They were using their car as a deadly weapon. And we've heard this time and time again with ICE. So this is a familiar tactic. They are taught this. They are taught this as their defense.
Just so that everybody understands how long this spans, like even in a contemporary, I mean, I know this has been going on for decades, but in a contemporary way. I discussed this when I covered the Fourth Amendment with my students way back when I taught school, and I haven't been in a classroom in like 15 years. So like that's how long we've been talking about the use of a car as a weapon and the police doing this in this kind of brutality. And then also how unsafe it is for the community, because it's not like you can really like control the trajectory of bullets when there's a lot of other things happening, right? They ricochet, they hit other things. So if your first instinct is to just start rapidly shooting, right? Even if you aren't black or brown, but you're in a community where somebody is traveling, then you also could be shot. And people need to start understanding that they're not using, weaponry that like a taser or something that, I don't know, what are the other bullets, the air bullet, or what is it called? The
rubber bullets.
Those are still also very terrible. And
they can be deadly. People have lost
exactly. Those absolutely can be deadly, but at least, less of a risk,
less lethal,
of trajectory, or, like whatever. Right. All of this has been going on for a long time, but now we're to the point where when it's happening in real time, they're not even trying to hush up their mistake. They're just like, well, that's just what happens. Like, this is just a part of the process. No, like, not only is it not constitutional, like, like, none of this is should be allowed, but, like, we have every right as people, as voters, to say, I don't want these kinds of people to be controlling our government. So this is why November, like, has become, I mean, already, like, it was dire, but now it's even more dire because people are going to continue to die if we don't move these Republicans out, because this idea that human life is just, no regard for human life. I don't want kinds of people running my government.
I put our friend Craig's comment up here. Susan Collins is concerned because I do want you to hear Susan Collins' response to this.
No, and then you can post my comment.
ICE needs to improve. There's no doubt that ICE needs to improve its performance. But those who are calling for ICE to be abolished altogether are ignoring absolutely vital safety work that ICE
They are
does.
killing people. That is the most feckless response imaginable from a senator. And I will say this too. I appreciate Mainer's response to this killing. They are, Casey. They are not being silent on this. We can ask Janet Mills about this. Watch the clip.
And died here because you've been ignoring us and letting ICE terrorize our communities.
Janet, what do you think about ICE in Maine? What do you think about ICE in Maine? Continued ICE funding. You're not going to shoot me, are you? Don't you support ICE funding? You're not going to shoot me.
So, I'm not mad at that. I think shouting down your leaders that are not meeting the moment, is very much.
I'm not going to give her tons of credit, but I will say this: like, didn't she have a better response than Collins? Didn't she condemn ICE or no?
Not much better.
Okay, well, all right. I'm not here to pump.
I think there's a lot. I
was just checking.
No.
I actually think it's a rare politician that is calling for ICE to be abolished. Or I think probably the closer response that you're going to get is like, we don't want to fund ICE unless there's meaningful reform. And to me, where like unmasking them is a Band-Aid. That's not meaningful reform. Like that's part of it, but that's not meaningful reform. We just start fucking over. And that's to me what I mean of abolish ICE. Abolish them because there's nothing good in that agency right now. Nothing. And start over, rename it. We do need immigration enforcement. Nobody is saying that, but we do not need masked, untrained killers that really are not qualified at all to do this kind of work. So on that note, I was really impressed. I don't know if you guys can see this. I just love this idea that the president of Mexico wants justice, and they are talking about suing the United States. And maybe y'all know more about this than me, but I think this, and not just for Lorenzo Salgado, who was, was it a week ago he was murdered or killed? It was last week. But for all of the people that ICE has killed. And here's a graphic. I'm not going to read all these names, but these are just some of them that were killed.
This is this calendar year.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people this calendar year.
And that doesn't even include the people that have died. It's a really big number that have died in ICE custody. These are the people that
correct.
Yeah, in custody.
No. I think that these are the Mexicans that they are aware of that died either being killed by ICE in enforcement or in custody. I believe that
they're talking about
17. Yes,
they're talking about Mexican citizens. They're not talking.
Correct.
They're not talking about if you're from Guatemala or American citizens. But anyway, it's a start. It's like like all the countries that where their people of their origins are being murdered or killed, they should do the same thing. So let's let Mexico lead the way. I think this is really
and it's not just suing the government. she's also calling for criminal prosecutions of the people responsible.
That's important. And
I don't
accountability is
think that
important.
that's going to happen.
No, but I think to your point earlier, Adam, where you said like what the Republicans were doing about like even if they don't get somebody prosecuted, like they've made that influence made an impact, it made a ripple effect. That's the same with this. And I think if as we see this, maybe other countries will begin to feel the same way and start putting pressure on this government to stop this. And I would also like to say, I was going to say, no, I wouldn't put on my conspiracy hat, but I will, because we know that governments, specifically in North America, have like buried indigenous children and people. So this idea that they aren't just executing people or killing people or hiding the deaths of people that are undocumented, that maybe don't have any family or don't have any governments looking for them. Like, y'all need to understand that in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, there's going to be an investigation and we're going to find mass graves, or we're going to find like crematoriums or like whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to find fuckery like this. Like, you need
I
to
keep saying
understand
this
that
is
it's
going to be
happening.
much worse than we can imagine. When we're done, when this administration is gone, it's going to be much worse than we know.
It's like history shows that they are willing to do that. And these people, look at what they're doing in front of our faces, with the cameras. What are they doing behind the closed doors?
And no body cams. That's another really important point. They are not required to wear body cams. And as far as I know, the states cannot require it, even if their own police, like you have LA County Police or whatever, required to wear body cams. They cannot require federal agents to do that. So that's another huge problem.
When Tom Homan was asked about that this week, why weren't there, you were given all this money, why weren't there body cams? He blamed Democrats for shutting down the government and causing the delay. The body cams are on order, but they're delayed because of the Democrats having shut down the government.
Let's cite another statistic. There were no ICE murders during the government shutdown.
Wait. You're telling me that they can just call up their like friendly pool contractor from home to get down here and fix the reflecting pool in 5 minutes, but you can't get body cameras like shipped overnight, like 4 a.m. express? Like, shut up. I don't believe that. You're not following any contract protocols or any RFP process. Like, just get onto Amazon, punch in the like credit card number, and like, let's do this, because it's absurd. Oh no.
Well, I would have met with the Epstein survivors, but they didn't contact the FBI first, so I couldn't do it. What are you going to do?
I won't play the sound on this, but Lindsey Graham, as we know, died. And I don't know what you guys were doing, but we sleep with our TV on, very low sound, and I woke up and I saw this, and I was squinting my eyes, and I was thinking they were talking about Mitch McConnell for a second. It took me, like, when you're waking up, it took me a minute to realize it was Lindsey Graham. So this was not expected by me, at least. I don't know about y'all. But Casey and I have been talking a lot about like how he has been eulogized, let's say it that way. And it's been very interesting to see. And I think
it's
we
been
both
infuriating.
Okay, there you go.
It's the word I will use.
It's been, especially coming from Democrats, and just say nothing. Honestly, like you could pay your respects, like do what they do when there's mass shootings. Do thoughts and prayers done. I'm gonna show y'all. We can talk on the other side. I want you to see this because I think this is closer to what we should be seeing.
You just admit that you're gay, and then people won't blackmail you anymore.
I feel good about the Republican Party. We're killing all the right people, and we're cutting your taxes.
And you know how you make America great again? Tell Donald Trump to go to hell.
I want to thank the big guy, God. Trump comes later. Mr. President, you're not far behind God.
Flatten Gaza. Just flatten it. We flattened Berlin. We flattened Tokyo.
Trump is my favorite president. We've run out of bombs. We didn't run out of bombs in World War II.
So y'all you can at me for playing that, but I thought that was.
Why would you at you? That's his history.
Because maybe
That's
they're like, oh,
truth.
he's dead. You shouldn't, whatever. But listen,
it's his words.
It's his words. He has a record. a lot of people have been harmed by his choices, and he was going
He
to
killed
make more
people.
choices.
He killed people.
Going to harm
His
people.
actions killed people.
Yeah.
Just say it. I mean, that's what it was. This is
Okay.
it's
You
this
said it
the,
first.
just it's the truth. We're not hiding the truth. You can follow his whole history and his whole career trajectory and his votes and how he felt on things. There's a whole, like, it's on the White House, probably even their page. It's there for you to find. I don't think it's disrespectful. This is what he stood up and fought for. Is this that caused the death of people? There's no celebration to be had in that. And what I told you, Chris Webb, and what I said, no, I didn't make a video on this, but I will, is that to me, what we're seeing with like extensive eulogies from people like Cory Booker and Kirsten Gillibrand and like all these different people that made like really long, like heartfelt messages about
So
the work that he
unnecessary.
did and like if you just knew him. I want to say, I know, believe me that I know and understand what Congress looked like. I interned there in the early 2000s. Like, I understand the good old boys. Like, I understand everything that it was. And I understand that with Donald Trump, there was a transition, right? Like that the Republican Party has gone through a realignment. It looks different than it did, kind of. But I don't care. And I would like to say that it's a microcosm, Congress right now, of what our country looks like when we have relationships with people who are bigoted racists, who are really nice at PTA meetings and at dance practice and soccer games on the weekends, right? Like your colleagues and people who seem like really nice people, but somehow they're MAGA, right? Somehow they support this administration. So you stay friends with them. Well, it's one thing if you're doing that because you're trying to bring them over to reality and teach them about what they need to do as citizens and people who care about other people. But it's another thing if you're willing to live in like this sort of fragmented reality where you accept conditionally parts of them, but ignore the racist part, right? Like, but ignore the bigoted parts. And that's what it feels like Congress is doing right now, is invalidating all of the harm that Lindsey Graham has done
It's his
and
public legacy.
and what he had, the deaths that he has caused by saying, but he was also this really nice guy. Guess what? Nice people don't vote for policy that kills people. Nice people don't call for the death and destruction of other countries that and shoot hospitals of children. Like, nice people don't do that, and they don't relish that, and they don't celebrate that. And everything that Lindsey Graham became was a choice. Right? This is a man that chose to hitch up his cart with this administration, that chose to pursue the MAGA agenda. And as far as I'm concerned, he can rot in hell for it, because everything that he did as a grown-ass man was a choice, and he had the power and the money to not do that. There was a choice that all Republicans made at one point. They could have gone the McCain route. They could have gone the Kinzinger route. They could have gone the Cheney route and said, you know what? We're not okay with this. And they didn't. So yeah, nobody should be celebrating that. And they should use this as an opportunity to say, hey, he was a good person and he maybe did some good things. And then he made a choice to go to the dark side like Vader. And I don't know what else happens in Star Wars, because I'm going to be honest, I only saw the first 3 movies. So I can't continue with that analogy, but you know what I'm saying.
So that man he was wetting himself over in this video, his name's Donald Trump. This is what Donald Trump had to say.
Also ask, are you aware of why the FBI is looking into Senator Graham's death? Have you gotten any updates on why they were at his home?
Well, I don't know why, because I think, he had a problem. His father had a very similar problem, as you know. It's very unique. At first I heard it was clogged arteries, because he did have clogged arteries. He had a problem with that. He was, I wish he took better care of himself. I say, you could,
This man saying Lindsey Graham should have took better care of himself. I'm so sorry. That is crazy.
Can solve that problem. But what happened is actually something that's very hard to detect. It was not related to any blockage. It was a totally different thing. And supposedly, and I've watched all the medical reports, I've had the doctors from the White House come in and explain what happened. And this is something that is almost undetectable. And if it happens, there's not much you can do about it. Sounds unfortunate, but there's not much you can do about it. If you look at his father died of the same thing at about the same age. So there was not much. They say it's almost undetectable. You can detect it.
Anyway, do you think this man's following doctor's orders? Anybody? Casey? Anybody?
A question. Do you think that they are like, do they have him on a monitor? Like when my kids were little babies, we had like little foot things that they wore so that like if their heart suddenly stopped, we would get like this alarm that went off in our room. Do they have that on his heart, or could like he theoretically like kick it in the middle of the night and they'd never know? Like, I'm just wondering how much can we hope for?
Yeah, I don't know that you monitor an adult's heart remotely.
I'm saying you can, but like, are they? Because like, why can't the aortic dissection happen to him? Like, right? Like,
Now.
what do you mean now? Like, they just murdered someone on the street. Like, this is actually, I'm being like, not, what's the word? Like, not that is it.
Restrained? You think you're being restrained, Casey? I don't know about that. But
I know I'm being a protector of the people. Like, that's what I'm being.
The thing that upset me the most about Lindsey Graham was that not only the Democrats saying, oh, but he could tell a joke, basically, so we were friends. But it is the narrative that he did change, because he didn't change. He was this the entire time. There was a clip that came up from the debate of him running for the seat that Strom Thurmond left. So he was in Strom Thurmond's seat, and he was asked, it was 2002, so it was just post 9/11, and the newscaster said, some of the partners of people that were in the World Trade Center are getting benefits. Do you believe that same-sex partners should be eligible for benefits like this? And Lindsey Graham was adamant that this should not be the case, that it should never be the case, that marriage is between a man and a woman, that South Carolina has a particular history and culture that adheres to that. And I saw someone else say, Lindsey Graham, open secret, was gay. He could have been Harvey Milk. He could have been a champion for gay rights. He could have been that person, but he chose to not be that person. And he wasn't that person from the moment he stepped on the stage to put his hat in the ring to become a senator. So he did not change. He was that person his entire political career, and that is how he should be remembered.
He's a coward, and he's never not been.
I got to say, my favorite moments of Lindsey Graham, because it's remarkable of how parallel the comments are when he was running against Trump, and he said, and I'm pretty close to quoting verbatim here, I think he's a kook. I think he's crazy. I think he's unfit to be president.
Racist.
Then, well, but I'm focusing on this because then after Trump gets elected, he turns around and said, what's most disturbing to me is the press's endless attempt to label him a kook who is unfit to hold office. How could you possibly be more hypocritical than that? All of the other things.
Just give the Republicans a minute; they'll get there.
Oh my God! And it was the word kook that really brought me in, because people don't usually use that word.
No, they did in the 40s, like
right.
After January 6th, coming out and saying that I'm done with Trump, and then to immediately fold back in.
Yeah. Remember, he said, I'm out. So we talked about Iran earlier, but we got to give them honorable mention again here, because like within hours of his death, they did this video.
Who's Laura?
Yeah,
Laura Loomer is who
Laura
I'm
Loomer.
thinking. Yeah.
That's
thought
who
it
they
was
meant?
Laura Loomer.
Okay. Like I was
Because she came out with
curious.
that conspiracy theory like immediately about Russia. And then I think Iran wanted them to know it was them.
Okay.
Okay, so let's be positive here. There is his opponent, Annie Andrews, Dr. Annie Andrews, who we need to keep spotlighting. For what they appointed the governor, South Carolina appointed his sister, which is crazy work, but I get they did it because
that's normal. That's
it's an
I'm
easy
gonna say
vote.
like that's an old.
I don't like it. I
tradition.
do not like it. I'm just gonna be
I'm
honest.
not saying it's good. I'm just saying that actually is the most normal thing that I've seen come out of the Republican Party in terms of history of politics. That's
I don't know if
actually
she's
like
nice
the most
or not nice. I do know she has no experience in this.
So typically it's a spouse, not a sister.
Well,
So-
yeah, but a relative. Like,
he
I mean,
has no.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
so
it's a tacit acknowledgement of his situation.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Teresa, we did play the TikTok of Dr. Annie Andrews a couple weeks ago, and she is amazing. This is what she had to say about Lindsey Graham. We have 2 clips of her. This is what she had to say about Lindsey Graham. And I don't know if she's watching, but if you guys know her, tell her to post more shit because we need more videos of her. She is just really good.
News of Senator Lindsey Graham's passing was sudden and unexpected. Senator Graham dedicated decades of his life to this great state and to our country. Moments like this remind us that life is fleeting, fragile, and so much bigger than politics. I'm thinking about the people who loved him, his family, his friends, his staff, and all of his supporters who are grieving this loss. Now, it's no secret that Senator Graham and I didn't agree on much, but we did agree that when you love your country, you raise your hand to serve. And we both believed in the greatness of South Carolina. Senator Graham was a fighter. No one can dispute that. But here's what I want you to know about me. I'm a fighter too. My fight is for you and your family. It's for my 3 kids. My fight is South Carolina's fight. And even though we may not always agree, I will always show up and fight for you. So as we move forward, no matter your party, let's remember that there is far more that unites us than divides us, and that life is bigger than politics. Let's commit to building a better South Carolina together.
Chef's kiss on that
the
one.
way to
She
do
did a
it.
great job. She hit the right notes. She did, honor him, I guess to say, but she also pivoted back to herself. She's running for office, and she did the right thing. I thought that was really well done.
She didn't have a lot of room as someone that's trying to run in that state currently, right? Like, I'm looking at current politicians and side-eyeing them because they're in office now. She did the correct thing as someone that's trying to vie for that seat, especially since it was her opponent. If she had done anything less, they would have crucified her. So this was the appropriate, and I don't think she really paid him that much.
She did not
She
lie
did.
enough.
I mean, she
was very
basically said,
factual.
"This is what we have in common. We're both fighters.
Right.
That's
right.
not like a real.
And that's not in dispute. He was a
Lindsey
fighter.
Graham was a fighter. He was fighting for the wrong shit.
The wrong shit, but he was there fighting.
Yeah.
Right.
So
and he did dedicate his life to service to what he thought was the country. I
That's
guess
correct. I thought it was very factual, and but it's like, for people who want to see good in it, they will take the good in it. But the people who know the reality understood exactly what she was saying, and I think that that's the perfect balance to strike. And this is what I've said about her from the beginning, is that ever since she launched last year, I think it was like summer of last year, maybe, that I started seeing her on socials. She's had a really good social media, and the videos that I've seen have been excellent. And I think that's because she got into this for the right reasons. She was a pediatrician, she's a mom, and she saw what harm RFK, this Maha movement has done, like even just bringing back like measles and polio and all these things that have been eradicated with science. And she's like, no, I'm done with this. Like, the South should not like be an exception to this. We also should not be fucking around with this. So I'm all for that, and I appreciate, we need more women, and we need more people that are in these marginalized groups to be running. So good for her. She also looks kind of like MAGA, so that helps her cause. I mean, she's a blonde woman, to be fair.
Well, here's one more clip of her. This is the one there that we just looked at was the most recent one I could find of her. She has been doing some shows. I haven't taken the time to edit them.
Violence prevention advocate for years before I pivoted into politics. And I tell the stories of my patients. I tell the story of the 4-year-old who found an unsecured loaded weapon on his coffee table, picked it up, pointed the barrel at his head, and pulled the trigger unintentionally with his thumbs, shot himself in the head, required multiple neurosurgical procedures. When I met him, he'd already been in the hospital for weeks. He had part of his skull removed. He was learning how to eat again, walk again, talk again. And that I carry that patient's story with me. And that story is far more compelling than, like Dr. Offit was saying, the statistics on the number of children who are shot and killed every year. And we have to, as medical professionals who have the privilege to be at the bedside of patients when they're in the worst moments of their lives, it is our duty to take those stories and to share them with the masses in a way that can compel the action that we need to see, the policy change that we need to prevent these problems in the first place.
Yeah.
And I appreciate Teresa's point about you can't, I think a lot of us are for a public option or Medicare for all. There's a lot of different universal healthcare. There's a lot of different versions of that. But I appreciate politicians that speak in truths, that it is not an overnight. It's not just enough to be for it. You're going to have to, there's different ways to look at it, but you have to sue the federal government. You have to decouple yourself from the federal government. You would have to give up whatever that state's version of Medicaid is. It's not an easy process. And so you do want people that know what the fuck they're talking about and that aren't just saying what we want to hear, that are telling the truth. And I am
if you are in South Carolina and you come out and you say you're for Medicare for all, you can just kiss your chances of election goodbye. I mean,
you think that's still the case?
Yeah, that is
when people are actually losing their health care. I don't know anymore. I think at one time, yes. And I don't think you have to say Medicare for all. You can say, you can say it in other terms. You can say healthcare is a right, universal healthcare, all of these things. There are different versions of it, single payer. I get your point. I think Medicare for all is kind of this like buzzword that people don't like.
I think you could say healthcare for all. I think that there's a way to get around it. And I think that this year specifically, and I don't know if it'll look like this, we might see like a little regression, like the pendulum might swing back a little bit, but I think people are hurting deeply now in a way that they weren't before, and that this is the first time that we're really seeing people being willing to, why is my face so...
Because I chased Chris out with my incisive commentary on Medicare for all in South Carolina. Clearly,
no, but I really feel like we talked about this on a call I had on Tuesday, and it was that the economy has always been really the thing that changes people's minds, the people that pushes people to the polls, and also government overreach, right? When a party has too much power, people don't like it. And not only like do they not like it, I mean, because right now what we're seeing is corruption. But I'm talking about in normal times when like a political party would just somehow randomly get, like, it would just so happen that, oh, look, like the Republicans had control of all three branches or Democrats had control of all three branches, something like that happens. Like, we oftentimes see them losing seats. And we talk about this with the party in power, like where the midterm election comes along and that party that's in control of the White House loses some seats in Congress. That's supposed to happen. It happens all the time because people just naturally, inherently are like, I don't love it when one party has too much control. So not only do you have that normal sentiment that exists before Trump, but now you have someone who is knocking down monuments and buildings and spending money and starting wars and deploying ICE agents that are murdering people in their communities and that are housing them in like things called alligator Alcatraz. And they're hearing about all of this, and then not exposing the Epstein files, not prosecuting pedophiles and rapists, like not being accountable. And then they're also seeing the Supreme Court take away women's reproductive health care and threatening the LGBT community and all these other things. People are just, at this point, you also can't make like lettuce unattainable. Like, you can't take away salads in the summer and also make groceries unaffordable. This is too many things. Like, people are like, enough, like I can't. So I really think that when I'm watching this on social media, there's been a shift even in the influencer spaces. I know Chris Quinn's on TikTok a lot, so he might be able to speak to this. I don't know what's on your algorithm, but it used to be that people would do like these ultra fancy rich hauls of things that they would buy or get, like, right? Like, they'd go to a Louis Vuitton store and like bring out and do all this stuff, right? And in the comment section, you'd see one or two haters, but for the most part, it was like, oh wow, I wish I could get that someday, or like it was more like people looked at that as like hope, right? Like that maybe someday that they could have that kind of life. Now, if influencers try to do that, they are absolutely skewered. People are like angry and upset, and they see this imbalance of the really, really ultra wealthy, the 1%ers, and then everybody else that's out here struggling. And people are having to get 2-3 jobs, and they're having to live on pennies and not be able to eat. People are like actually coming to channels and saying, like, I couldn't eat yesterday. I didn't have enough food, or, I didn't have the money to go get groceries. And so this people flaunting wealth or corruption is not cute anymore. People are dying. So I think that Democrats do have a very unique opportunity in November to win over seats. This doesn't mean people stay home. Like, this means everybody has to go, because what we saw tonight with Trump shit means that he's going to push it to the limit. He's going to go as far as he can to try to out-rig the elections, right? To try to manipulate and prevent people from showing up. So that means everybody's got to go. Even more people have to show up. But I think just because I want people to be prepared for what happens, so that, because you're probably going to see pretty big Democratic wins, and then you're going to hear Republicans say cheating, cheating, cheating. I'm telling you, you're going to see big Democratic wins because people
100%.
are watching.
We won't even get through election night, and they'll already be talking about, but cheating. All right,
but prepare yourself for that. Please prepare yourself.
We'll be talking a lot more about this, as we get closer. All right, so Mitch McConnell, this video came out I think last weekend. I think it was over the weekend. That was from a month ago. You don't really see much. You can just see the level of urgency that the paramedics don't have.
Lack thereof.
Urgency.
Which, I mean, if all I have to say is, if I am near death, I hope to have a little speedier of a response. And this next clip, I don't remember if there's sound or not, but it's his neighbors.
McConnell said they saw disturbing details in the days before his hospitalization in mid-June, the Daily Beast reported Saturday. McConnell was hospitalized on June 14th, and his office initially disclosed few details about his condition. Last week, however, reports revealed that he had been discovered unconscious at his home in Washington, D.C., and administered CPR for a possible cardiac arrest. In the days since, rumors have continued to grow to such an extent that his own state's governor, Andy Beshear, publicly urged the Kentucky senator Saturday to provide voters with an update on his health. Speculation only intensified when the Daily Mail spoke with the senator's neighbors. "I was able to get a good look at his face," McConnell's neighbor told the Daily Mail. "He was pale, with a blank stare, and his mouth hanging open." Another neighbor said staffers were crying as McConnell was carried into an ambulance. He was not conscious. His eyes were closed. He had oxygen tubes strapped to his nose. "I knew by his aides, running in and out, that it was something serious. There weren't a lot of sirens. That was the thing that was interesting," said the neighbor.
So I'm going to walk you through something that happened on Sunday.
I got to go.
Okay, bye, Adam. Have a nice night.
Everybody.
That happened this last Sunday. There was an interview on Al Sharpton's show, which I happened to see. I happened to see it live. And, what is happening here?
Some news right here, Reverend. Our Republican supermajority has been so worried about me being able to potentially support someone before a special election that they passed not one but two laws. They tried at first to say they could submit a list of 3 people to me from the Republican Party, and I'd have to pick. Now they say I can't fill a vacancy, but I have to call a special election. But here's the thing. There is a Kentucky constitutional provision that says that I appoint all state officers when there's a vacancy. The question is, does that apply to federal offices? Well, before there was ever a law in Kentucky on how this would work, multiple appointments were made by governors, assuming under that provision. So if we end up there, and I hope we don't, I hope Senator McConnell will provide proof of life tomorrow and that we could all move on. There's at least going to be probably a little disagreement.
So you would, if that became necessary, you would appoint someone if it became necessary to do so on the basis of the Kentucky Constitution as you read it?
Well, certainly my hope is that Senator McConnell will provide us the assurances that we need. But if he is incapacitated, if there is a vacancy, I will look at my authority as governor to make sure that we are represented as Kentuckians. And certainly I'll take a strong look at that section of our Kentucky Constitution.
And I kid you not, on the same show, within 15 to 20 minutes later, they broke the news that this photo was released, the one we've all been talking about for, days. So let's talk about this photo, because I think we all have issues. Well, I'm not gonna put words in y'all's mouth. I have issues.
You don't
with
have
it
to. I already said
them. If he went to a spa retreat and aged back, got fillers, Botox, and this isn't a close-up, but his hair is also a little darker. The last photo we saw, or video of him that we saw of him during, in Congress, in the Senate, his hair was white. And he also had a droopy face. This just does not.
He went under a face laser. He lost age spots. Okay,
I don't think this is AI. I think that's questionable. I do think it's not a current photo. I just don't. Or it was photoshopped. I don't think it was AI though. That's just me.
100%.
I think the photos are relevant. I think the fact that he has supposedly spoken with all of these Republicans for 20 minutes and yet has not picked up the phone to talk to Andy Beshear is all the evidence you need. That we are way past the point where that should have happened. And so at absolute best, it's incredibly disrespectful to the governor and to the people of Kentucky. And at worst, it's covering up the fact that he is in a coma or actually dead. And
let me tell you,
I made this little video here, you guys, to just kind of illustrate the fact that all the news media went with it like it was actually
like it was Bible, like it was truth. Nobody questioned it. And I took it to my channels because I was just like, my flabbergasted because I looked at that photo and I was like, well, this is not a current photo. Like, this has very clearly been manipulated. And also, if you look this good sitting up in bed, why the fuck aren't you live streaming your proof of life? Like, right? Why aren't you doing something? And I said that, and it has like 1 million views just on Instagram. Like, because that's how many people were like, yeah, that's common sense.
Yeah.
Why is it that my followers, like me and my followers, saw that, but the media was like, oh, he's fine? I'll tell you why.
I think we all got,
Because
this went viral too. Yeah, I think we all put our 2 cents in, and people aren't buying it.
Lindsey Graham died, okay? And that raised the stakes because now that's one less Senate seat that they thought that they had in their pocket with an incumbent. And I'm going to tell you that while the Kentucky law did change it so that the governor had to pick like from a list of Republicans or whatever, what we saw from Andy Beshear is that there is question about that in terms of the Constitution, whether it violates the state constitution and whether he's actually allowed to put in a Democrat. Now, if he could actually put in his own choice for a replacement, that would absolutely screw them when it comes to passing things like the SAVE Act or like whatever else they want to do. And that is why they're upping the ante with this proof of life stuff. And this is why we should all be talking about it every single day, because they've got like, I think 10 days left. It's like there's a certain amount,
August
there's a
3rd.
law, right? Is that it was the 3rd? Because Alan thought it was like there's like a countdown. Anyway, I will be doing a new series that you will see every single day, which is basically like the hunt for Mitch McConnell's obituary, because my guess is we're going to get just outside that deadline, and then he's going to have a very unfortunate fall at his rehab facility, and suddenly he's dead because he's already dead, because they're trying, or brain dead or whatever. He's not capable of being a senator right now. The Republicans know that, and what they're doing is trying to buy time to get past this deadline so that Andy Beshear, the Democratic governor, cannot put a Democrat in. If this were reversed and it was a Republican governor and a Democrat died or wasn't around for like a month, do you know how fast they would have replaced that with a Republican? This is crazy. It is crazy that the Democrats are not pursuing this, that they are not on the heels of Mitch McConnell and staked outside of that rehab agency facility, where I don't think he is, by the way. Yeah, there was some AI fuckery happening with the paper.
So,
like the image
I think
was
it was
real,
a
but
combination
the paper was
of
not.
things. I think
100%.
I do want to point out though, be very careful, because if you blow up that original photo, it is not this clear. This was a digitally enhanced image. But on that original photo, you can see something's very wrong with this finger here, like what's going on here. But then all of this wording here, it's circled. It looks very blurry in the original photo. Here it's been enhanced, and it almost looks like it's, in Thai, like a different language.
So
it's not accurate.
You can't enhance stuff with like digital enhancers because it always messes it up. But if you just scroll and zoom in on your phone, where it's going to be real blurry, you can still see that the blurs don't match. Like, so what I did was I took like a screenshot of somebody else's screenshot of the paper and then put it side by side and zoomed in on my phone on both of them. And you could just see that the layouts don't, right? Like, it doesn't look like it doesn't match. And so photographers were also going through and talking about the lighting and how the lighting doesn't look right, from somebody who's a professional photographer that knows and understands how the light hits the skin and like angles and stuff like that. That's what they're paid to do, is like understand how to look for that. And so most of them came out like the next day or the day after and started saying, hey, this doesn't look right to me. This has been edited. This has been heavily edited. This has been changed or manipulated. Not suggesting that it was AI, but saying like, you can do things with Photoshop. You can do things with like lots of apps to change and distort things. And that's what I think happened. And
Right.
I think it's crazy that anybody
It was
just took this at
manipulated
face
for sure.
value.
And
It's
and
actually
also,
insulting to me.
yeah. Also, you reap what you sow. We are lied to so much by the right, by Republicans, that of course people aren't going to trust us. And we also have eyes. We also know what McConnell looked like.
They've lied to us
a few weeks ago, and what the photos. This is not a man that was. Anyway, we'll move on. I just want to play one more video on this subject from Andy Beshear. This is from yesterday, I think.
no official response, nothing sent to our office, no letter, no email. Now, he did put out a public statement, and that's a step in the right direction. But I view this the same way our families would have to deal with something like this. I mean, if anybody out there, your viewers, were in the hospital for a month, they'd have to call their boss at work and explain what's going on, explain what happened and what their path is to coming back.
I'm glad he's putting pressure. I think he should do more of these news conferences. I think other politicians should be doing the same. To Chris's earlier point, that there are constituents that have no representation as far as the Senate goes. They need truthful, like I need a live stream. I need I need him wheeled into Congress. I don't know, but you can't just give me a photo at this point. That's not going to do it for me.
If that photo is real, I think a 30-second video is well within his capabilities.
Same.
Yeah.
This is why I will be doing the countdown to Mitch McConnell's obituary. I got to figure out what day we're on, but I think we're going to do like start every single day, like reporting if like Mitch McConnell's waiting for his obituary, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to drop it as soon as they hit that deadline.
All right. So we are winding down here. Week's best. I'll go first because I have it in the queue already. And okay. So this takes us back to Maine, and I mentioned earlier I really appreciate Mainer's response to the ICE killing of Juan earlier this week, and this woman right here has my whole heart right here.
Hey, you want equal rights? You're gonna
Do it! Do it! You white supremacist piece of Look at you! Look in the mirror! Look in the mirror! Go take your food stamps!
What is your problem? What is your problem? Are you okay with innocent people being shot?
You're shooting people in the street!
I know that. Hey,
but you want them out of here, right? Yeah, they're legal!
So this man was saying, basically justifying it, that he was murdered, shot, killed because he was illegal, and she was not having it. And that's the response.
Said no.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Chris, what was yours?
Okay, so I had forgotten to send it to you, but I'll bring it up. It just went down. I am from Coatesville, Pennsylvania, and our rival school district was Downingtown. And the mayor of Downingtown that was elected 2 years ago, trans woman, which is huge for our area. That is not something that like anyone would have expected. But she's had a bit of a moment on Threads because of Lindsey Graham. She had probably the best response of any of the people that I've seen. And let me see if I won't be able to send it to you, but talk amongst yourselves.
What's her?
It's Erica Deuso, ERICA DEUSO. But as I just went to search for it, it was her personal one instead of the mayor's one, and she put it on the mayor's one.
And what town is this? Sorry.
Downingtown.
Okay. Because he's in Pennsylvania, y'all.
Yeah. But since then, after gaining some traction on that, she has done posts on ICE in general, on the hearings. She did one earlier this evening on Trump's speech. And point being, we need to learn how to better utilize social media in a way that is kind of bless your heart, where it is biting but truthful. And I think the thing that the Lindsey Graham exposed with a lot of Democrats is how out of touch they are with their constituents. Because for every tribute to Lindsey Graham you saw, you went to the comments and it was person after person after person saying, "Are you kidding me? What are you even doing here?" So I think there's a way forward. There's a way to do this correctly, and I'm proud of her for being able to do that.
And I think
You need to
hopefully,
can you tag me in one of her things, because I don't have
Yes,
her.
I will. Yes.
Hopefully this is a learning lesson for all of our public figures and politicians, that when it happens, and you know what I mean by it, that we do not have to live through this shit, because nobody, we will be doing a live no matter what day it is.
No matter what time I'm getting on the internet with some champagne.
We will be on, and we will not be saying nice things. I can guarantee.
No. Well, yes, we will. We will be saying how nice it is to be free of him, like that. We will be saying nice things like that.
We'll be saying nice things, but not nice about when it happens. Okay,
Right,
so your best of the week. Do you want to play the video first, or do you want to?
You can play it because there's no sound. There should be no sound, or you can mute the sound because like it should just be background. So I went to Capitol Hill yesterday. I was in, and you'll see that the camera work is definitely indicative of the fact that I am not an original influencer. I was a teacher, and that's why I was invited, because I was invited for education creators. And like the whole time I was like, wait, I should be filming this. Like, I'm really bad because I don't do like, get ready with me. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I just don't do it. Like, so I don't think
I just want to say thank you for doing this, but continue. I mean, I just think it's great to share this.
So but it relates to what Chris Quinn was saying, because I was there and watching how insulated. I was taking pictures of the senator's shoes, so I was like, "That's so funny."
You're phenomenal at this.
I'm really great. So the Wellesley Michaels, who is Senator Cory Booker's part of his staff, I guess also is control having people come in as influencers and creators to meet with senators and interview them and kind of learn about policy points. And so this was for educators, for teachers, right? When I was there, what struck me is like how insulated they really are in Capitol Hill, and like how there is this like very I remember because I had an internship and I was in the House side of things, but it was the same thing, right? There's this air of like of almost like nobility. It's like this distinguished history and like this reverence for an institution that most Americans don't have anymore. Like with validity, like very validly, that most Americans don't have. And if we're honest, right, Black and brown people never had. Also very validly, right? And so as a lot of us are on deconstruction journeys from that, like from what we thought was like the real history of this country, like we didn't know because it was told through the lens of a white person, right? There's an absence of that on the Hill. Like that doesn't seem to be happening. And so like these people, it's like these are their colleagues and friends. Like the Republicans that are doing these terrible things are serving alongside these people. And so they're like, hey buddy, what's up? And so we saw several senators, like problematic Republican senators, walk by and they'd be like, oh, hey, Senator, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, fuck you, Senator, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's what I wanted to say. Because I was like, what do you mean? You're voting on, like, terrible things. You're emboldening ICE. Like, you're trying to help this fascist administration. So I think, even though this was a great experience for me, and I was really happy to meet some senators, Hickenlooper, by the way, is like, Senator Hickenlooper, I have to say, from Colorado, like, props to him, because I couldn't remember his name like 3 times. Like when I tell you I humbled this man, like, and he didn't even really need to be humbled because he was so nice. But he was like, oh, you're seeing so many people today. It's totally fine. And I was like, I'm sorry, I can't remember people. And he's like, oh, I have face blindness. Like, so he was like, we were both like, we have face blindness.
Okay, me too.
Like, yeah, like, and he's like, oh, I took a test online. I'm like, I'm gonna go do that because I 100% have it. Anyway, so I did a game called Policy in 60 Seconds, and I went through and just basically asked them like bullet point, like where they felt about like certain points in education, like school and lunches being paid for by taxpayer dollars, breakfast being paid for, vocational colleges being funded, like all kinds of stuff, right? And obviously, because the program is still, it's like they have to be honest about what the senators are willing to do. I got paired up with all the like Connecticut and Massachusetts people that are really super liberal, like super far left.
Left of left.
Yeah, and Senator Markey was there, and he like absolutely went past me, and like some other people like just did not come my way, like because that was like I was not the person. I was, healthcare for all, like, whatever. So I'm a radical left scum, so they didn't, I didn't see everybody, but it was a great experience, and I like that they're doing that for creators, and I would encourage anybody. So I got an email first saying, would you like to do this? And then you had to fill out an application, which is just like a Google form, like super easy. They just want to know what your socials are, like because they want to review your content, make sure you're not, I don't know, calling for the assassination of people, like that kind of stuff, right? And then you can come, they choose you. And so there was like, I think 7 or 8 people, and it was great because you got to kind of also talk to them and see other people from other states and like what they're doing in education. And then at the end, we got to go to Taste of Michigan, and it was hot dog day. And that's why Senator Slotkin was there, because she was being interviewed. And that was nice because I was really hungry in the day. And we saw Senator Cory Booker, which I did not take a selfie with. Like me and one other girl were like the only people that didn't take selfies with it. She's like, I noticed you didn't take a selfie either. And I was like, I do not need that.
But you obviously controlled yourself because you're here.
I did. Well, listen, like there was not a chance for me to have a conversation with him like that. It's like, it was really just like, hi. And he was like, hi, like, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I help people deconstruct from fascism. And he was like, oh, thank you so much for the work that you're doing. Like, it's really important. I was like, thank you. And then it was like I fist bumped him, and that was like basically it. There was like not really an exchange going back and forth, but I absolutely would have loved to have had that conversation with him to be like, hey girl, let me talk about why I have some problems. But he was the quintessential politician. And I was telling Chris Webb about it. I was like, man, like that he came in and it was like that, presidential air everybody has. But he's still working on his, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, whereas somebody like, I feel like Obama had it like naturally, like, you know what I mean? Like just, or Clinton or somebody that like just has it like effortlessly. I think Cory Booker's having still definitely like, he was really nice and was very enthusiastic about. He was great. That was Tina Smith from Minnesota, Senator. Name, yeah. She was lovely. Apparently, she's leaving, right? She's the seat that they're filling.
I love that you did this, and I think I love that you're sharing it. I will go back to what you said about like how these like, should we say awful people are like walking the halls and saying,
yeah.
I have heard that so many times that they behind the scenes also these people are not necessarily fans of Trump, but then when when they're on camera, they're like, he's the dude or whatever, so it's just it's kind of
true. Also, some of this is weird because you're not allowed to take video, and I had live pictures in and I forgot to like make them still. If it's like weird because it's like those are supposed to be still because you cannot film
oops.
in the Capitol. Yeah, you're allowed to take pictures. Almost most places you're allowed to take pictures, but you're not allowed to film. But they told us they're like the workaround is like just take a bunch of live photos, and that's how you make it work. But so
give me your camera. Give me your phone.
Yeah. That's how we did it, and there we go. I also, just so you all know, you can turn off the video, it's fine. I did make a point to do this intentionally because I have been very critical of the Democrats, like rightfully so. And I think it's really important for people who disagree with what the Democrats are doing, but like overall agree with their ideology. Like I support the Democratic Party because I agree with the ideology of the party, but I don't necessarily agree with the way that they've portrayed their messaging or like some of the other things. So like I need you all to get involved with them and be in things with them because they need to be able to hear our voices. It does not help for us to just bitch on the internet. Like we actually have to go get involved And this is like going to be a compromise. Like that's how government's always been. It's never going to just be knock it all down and like build it all up. It's going to be rebuild it slowly. In this case, we're going to hurry it up because there's a fascist like takeover right now. But I mean, like you need to be a part of the process and your voice needs to be there. So please, any chance you have of being a part of like a creator process or like citizens coming in and like sharing their feel, anything you can do to engage with the Democratic Party, like, and help them reform, especially prioritize their messaging, please do that.
Shoot, I don't think I have that video. Well,
Teresa, okay, that makes sense.
All right, so one more thing. I want to make sure we don't sign off. We're running overtime here, but listen to this real quick.
An hour ago, the Secretary of Forever Wars, Pete Hegseth, said that they are going to provide hormone therapy for male service members who don't have enough testosterone. This, by the way, is gender-affirming care. And by the way, male members of this committee, watch what you vote for. Do you really want the government getting into your business, taking your testosterone levels and determining whether or not you have enough testosterone? Are you male enough to be in Congress? That is the question.
I'm authorizing a new screening program for testosterone deficiency for our service members, ensuring you have the right testosterone levels to operate at your absolute best. Because it's well-established science that as we age, testosterone levels often naturally drop. Under the supervision of our world-class medical professionals, warfighters age 30 and older are going to be tested annually as part of their periodic health assessment. It's a health assessment that happens every year. We're just adding this test. Those under 30 can voluntarily choose to get the test as well. If treatment is recommended, it's entirely your choice to receive testosterone replacement therapy. This initiative, it's not about artificial enhancement. It's about restoring and optimizing your natural capabilities, protecting your longevity, and ensuring you have the biological foundation required to sustain the fight.
So these are the same people that they're against the jab, they're against mandates. And apparently he's trying to say you're not required to get hormone or testosterone low T injections or whatever the fuck. But they are requiring you to get the test.
This is absolutely them telling on themselves.
I guess.
This is a bunch of fragile, weak men with limp levels of testosterone that are projecting onto you, and they want you to make tons of babies. And so this is what they're doing.
So I just wanted to make sure everyone saw the dystopian level that even our military is being faced with. And on that note, good night.
I'm telling you, from now on, I need you to switch those segments. Like, we have to end on the positive note. Like, we can't be ending on limp levels of testosterone.
We'll do one more thing, then we'll do a week from now. Oh no! I thought it was. I think we had a good time tonight. We covered a lot of ground, a lot of ground, and what a freaking week! Even today, we could just stayed on Trump the whole night with his damn.
We could have.
Yeah.
Oh, CTA. The CTA for tonight is to call your members of Congress and reiterate that you do not support the SAVE Act. I've already seen Patty Murray like excoriate him on Threads. And she was like, this SAVE Act is going nowhere but the trash, which is where like basically the president's whole speech and agenda should be. Good for her.
And while you're at it, push them on funding. Like, are you going to pay me to get what I need to get? Are you going to fund constituents to get the IDs and all of this stuff?
That's right.
This is not okay. And I need to be compensated.
If you have a Republican senator, then you need to be asking the questions about who's paying for this. How is this not a poll tax? like, I need you to explain this to me, push them on this, like tell them what you feel, but also push them to answer and account for that. And with Democrats, just make sure that they know you feel the same way, because they need your support right now to be able to stand up against this administration.
All right, everybody. Good night. We'll see you next Thursday at
My
10
dog said
Eastern.
good night.
Good night.
Good night.